What is up, guys? It is your boy Day, and welcome to the Man United Talks United versus Spurs FA Cup semi-final preview. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the FA Cup semi-final preview, ladies and gentlemen. If you do enjoy, drop a like and subscribe. Let's get into why we're here, okay? Semi-final of the FA Cup, which was a premier competition in the Premier League in England, and still is for some clubs, and it should be. It's amazing competition, but it's kind of been overtaken in terms of England by the UEFA Champions League, which is huge. Okay, that's the big prize. It's what everyone wants when you're competing at the top and highest level in Europe, the elite level. Anyway, let's get into why we're here. Okay. Last year, we came up against Chelsea in the semi-final of the FA Cup, and we went out, I believe the score was 1-0, and Herrera got a red card. Wasn't a very good time to, be involved, but that was that. And Chelsea went on to win not the FA Cup, they lost to Arsenal, and they won the league, so fair play to them. I don't mind losing to champions, because there's always a bit of grace in that. I mean, they didn't win the FA Cup, but, they won the Premier League. And I did briefly mention Arsenal, and while I stay on that for a couple seconds, Arsene Wenger released a statement saying he is going to end his managerial career, or leave Arsenal, I should say, at the end of the season. So, it's been a good time, Arsene, and hopefully I can do a podcast on what the rivalry was like while you were involved with Fergie, and, legendary career without a doubt. Not the greatest way to end it, although if he does win the Europa League, then that would be good for his career and his way to bow out. So anyway, let's get back onto why we're here, to face the rivals of Arsenal in Spurs. Okay, as you see, both sets of form. Obviously, Manchester United 1 loss in the last 5. Spurs have a loss and a draw, or 3 wins in the last 5. And there's no shame in losing to Man City, who will win the league. And they did draw to Brighton, which I didn't really catch much of that game, in all honesty. I don't really watch anyone else apart from United, which is bad because I probably should have watched that Spurs game leading up to this preview. And, regardless, they drew. So, yeah, I'll probably watch it after this, actually. Anyway, top goal scorers, which is no surprise, in Harry Kane and Lukaku, who actually were battling for the Golden Boot last season. But that didn't, Harry Kane got a hat-trick last day of the season. Did he score 4 goals, or was it a hat-trick? I can't remember. Regardless, they both have, these stats are for all competitions, and fair play to them both. In my opinion, my personal opinion, I believe Lukaku is better than Harry Kane. There's the obvious stat you could point out that Harry Kane gets 1,000 more chances than Lukaku. That was sarcasm for some of you who didn't realize that. But Lukaku, in my opinion, he's faster than Harry Kane, which doesn't make you greater by any stretch of the imagination. But he's faster, he's more physically imposing. Harry Kane, you could argue, is better with the ball at his feet, and people get back on Lukaku's first touch. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think his first touch is that bad. There are times when I think he rushes. I don't think it's his first touch per se. If he wants to touch the ball soft and, take his time, he can, but sometimes he rushes, and I don't think you can blame his first touch on rushing, because if Ronaldinho rushed, you would say he had a crappy first touch, but Ronaldinho was years above his class in his, I can't even think. He was matured years above his class or age, and he took his time. That's what made him so great, was that he never rushed anything. But Lukaku is still young, and he's learning. Anyway, I digress. Lukaku is better than Harry Kane, and that's just as simple as that, in my opinion. If you put Lukaku in the Spurs team, I would say he probably has 40 goals. He probably has 40 goals already, but that's not the case. And that's all competitions, obviously. Come on, stay with me. I need to stay with myself because I'm losing it. Anyway, let's talk about Manchester United. Let's get into the lineups, and then we'll talk about the squad a little bit afterwards. So obviously I got Big Dave in net. I'm going with the 4-3-3. Bailly Valencia, I always do that. Valencia, Bailly, Smalling, and Young in the back four. Matic sits behind Pogba and Herrera, with Sanchez, Lukaku, and Lingard as the front three. I think this is what we're gonna see. It's not what I personally want to see, but I think this is what we will see. If it was up to me, I would stick Rashford in for Sanchez because I feel like Sanchez would be an amazing impact player in this game, and I just think he's played well. He's got good stats for his first 9 appearances for Manchester United, but it's not good enough, especially to be starting in a semi-final. He is world class, but he doesn't fit the system at the moment. And as for Ashley Young, you all know my opinions if you've been watching. And Luke Shaw had a very decent game against Bournemouth. The only thing is his delivery wasn't on par, but that will come with consistent games, which he has not been getting. And Luke Shaw was very aggressive, which, Ashley Young looks aggressive, and that's probably the best thing about him is that he never gives up. But in terms of being an actual defender, he's not great. And the rest of the team, I think, kind of speaks for itself. Lingard, you could argue maybe even putting Rashford on the right. You could argue Mata starting. But I think for the work rate, the efficiency of his play, he never does anything too difficult for himself. He knows his limits, and that may hold you back in an aspect. But I think he is more than enough of what we need against Spurs, especially the game being at Wembley. We all know it's Jesse Lingard's bloody well playground. So yeah, that's the lineup I'm going with. And let's talk a bit about Spurs. As you see, Danny Rose, Harry Winks, and Kyle Walker-Peters, which is ironic anyway, will not be available for this game. Walker-Peters, you probably not really bothered by. Harry Winks was a player who had a part to play in Spurs team last season, and probably would be involved a bit more had he not been injured all this time. And as we know, Danny Rose, who was a target for Manchester United fans, especially, I would have liked to see him at Manchester United if we were going to lose Luke Shaw, or if we are going to lose Luke Shaw. But his injuries and inconsistency due to his injuries are a big reason why I don't want him at Manchester United. And I don't think that's a problem. I think it's sad for him because, it's his career and, he only wants to be better. Mind you, he is, 28 now. I think he and Kyle Walker are the same age, 27, 28. But you don't want someone who's going to be injured that often. That's the reason I think we maybe should get rid of Phil Jones, in my personal opinion. He's a good defender, as he showed against Bournemouth. But I can't take the inconsistency and just overwhelming injuries when Jones and Rose have good quality, but it's not good enough. Anyway, let's talk about Spurs as a whole. Now, I'll talk about the star players, and then I'll talk about the weaknesses which we can exploit. The big three, in my opinion, and you could argue Son belongs in this as well, the big four possibly, is Eriksen, Dele Alli, and Harry Kane. Now, personally, I think Dele Alli's overrated. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think he's that good of a football player. I just think he's a very good finisher, a very good poacher. He is just he's really good at being in the right place at the right time. I don't think his passing is that great. I don't think his defensive capabilities are that great, which is really not his job. And his ball control, whatever. He's a good player. Obviously, he plays for Spurs, which is a top level team. But I think people were losing their heads a bit when they say that he's as good as Pogba and could be better. Shut up, you're losing your mind. But like I said, he is a clinical player. He's a good finisher, gets in the right positions almost all the time. And that is key to Spurs play, because they cross the ball a lot and he is always in the right position. He drifts in and out of space very well. His positioning is probably the best thing about him, in my opinion. Watching him, I love his positioning. But every aspect of his game, other than positioning, I think Pogba is better. So that's just my personal opinion. And then there's Eriksen, who is the set piece taker, who puts in the dangerous ball, who just dictates everything that goes through Spurs' way. He is absolute quality, and I don't know if I want him at United, but I'd be scared to see if he went to Barcelona, or he's been linked to, or something like that, because he would thrive there and he would help Barcelona to dominate And we all know how things go when Barcelona plays Manchester United in Champions League finals. So, yeah, that's that. And then last but not least, like I said, I already talked about Harry Kane that much, so I don't want to get too deep into it because I already said what I said about him. But he is good. I think Lukaku is better, and I give my reasons why. But I just think Chris Smalling usually handles Harry Kane. Harry Kane doesn't usually perform well against Manchester United, as we saw when we played them at home and they beat us 2-0. Harry Kane had 8 shots and did not score a goal against us. And in the air, I think Chris Smalling will have the better of him. Harry Kane is not your Lukaku. He's not your Vincent Kompany, Belgians, or your Drogba. He's not a physical presence that's going to just take over whoever's defending him. So I think Chris Smalling has a good chance, and he knows him well from the England squad. So, you know, that really wasn't the biggest problem when we played Spurs anyway. It was the fact that Eriksen, I think he scored the exact same goal against Man City that he scored against us in the when we played them at Wembley, which it was more or less identical. But yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make, is they're very good at intricate and movement with the ball and the play that they have. We just gotta keep our eyes sharp and stay sharp to just stick with players, because I think that's where Spurs thrive, is when you're not on 100% and they exploit every little thing that you do wrong. So Chris Smalling needs to stick tight to Harry Kane. If Herrera's job is to man mark Eriksen, he needs to keep that up 90 minutes straight. And Matic on Dele Alli, hopefully. I don't think Dele Alli's making any noise, as he didn't really make any noise against us when we lost 2-0, and that was that. But otherwise than that, let's talk about Spurs' weaknesses. The biggest weakness that I think we can exploit, because Manchester United have so much pace in our team, in the likes of Martial, Lukaku, Rashford, even Lingard, you know, Spurs play a very high line. And even as we saw when we beat them 1-0 at Old Trafford, that line was too high. Eric Dyer was marking Lukaku, and they went up for the header. Lukaku won that header. He put everything into it, and Martial was in behind. So, I think Martial would have the beaten of Trippier, to be honest, but he's not going to start because Mourinho has an agenda. Yeah, if we exploit Liverpool's high line, that is the key to winning this game, because their line is very high and they press very well. But just like the way City beat them, was simple ball over the top from Kompany, who wasted no time. Gabriel Jesus was in behind, and that's 1-0. Lukaku can easily outrun any of the centre halves that play for Spurs. Maybe barring Davinson Sanchez, who's quick, but Lukaku is definitely stronger than him. And Davinson Sanchez is a young guy who is inexperienced, and I'm a big fan of him. You know, I liked him at Ajax, and he played against us in the final, and he was the guy we targeted to get the best of Ajax when we played them. And I think we need to go that route. If we're going aerially, if we're going to pump the ball up to Lukaku, I think that's the way we need to go, is to target Davinson Sanchez. He's good with the ball at his feet, and he's a good tackler, but he has a good tackle. I don't know if that sounds right. But in the air, if we're going to go to try to beat someone, it's definitely Davinson Sanchez. You're not going to get the best of Vertonghen. Eric Dyer failed when he went up against Lukaku. He's not really good with the ball, with heading the ball, but, you know. Anyway, the point is just keep the ball away from Vertonghen. And try to get the ball over the top as much as possible. Pogba's got the pass. If we play Mata, Mata's got the pass. We saw Sanchez has the pass against City to play the ball in behind. And that's that. That's all I have to say, really. Lastly, a couple notes for Manchester United. I just think the key to beating Spurs is moving the ball quicker than we do. You see Smalling when he gets on the ball, and I always pick him out because Smalling is the worst passer in the team. Or he chooses to be the worst passer in the team. Because under Van Gaal, he played long balls that I really enjoyed. He passed with great vigor and just a different way he did things. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Mourinho. But, yeah, we got to be sharper and quicker with the passes. So that means getting the ball to Pogba and Herrera. Herrera almost... He only takes one touch usually when he passes the ball. He tries to keep the ball moving quickly, and I think that's what was missing big time from Manchester United, especially when he was injured for 6 weeks. And even regardless, when we weren't starting him for God knows what reason, that's the biggest problem, is that we don't move the ball quick enough. And I've said this a couple times, but if we want to beat Spurs, we got to move the ball quicker than we do. And that's that, period. I think that's it. And lastly, I think we're going to win this game, and I'm going to give my prediction. But Pochettino has made it clear that this is not his priority. The FA Cup is not his priority. I think he said that mainly because he doesn't think he'll win it. And that's just sad. But that's the difference between Poch and Mourinho. And yes, you could say Poch has a more positive playing style, and he does, and fair enough to him. But Mourinho said when he came here, he wants to win everything. And that's what you want, okay? You want someone who will win, and who's a... Poch is not really a tactician either. I've never really seen much or better tactician than Mourinho. You know, he pretty much sets up in one style: high press, keep the ball moving, and get guys in behind. And you know, Mourinho does everything to win and anything to win. And I think that's the difference. And for that reason, my prediction for this game is 3-2 to United. I think it's going to be an open game because Wembley's a wide open pitch. It's huge. And it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. Honestly, I think we'll concede first. But I'm going to say we come back and win 3-2. I think we concede first. We scored 3 goals in a row. And then Spurs get one back. God, I hope I'm right. Or we could just win 4-0. That'd be great too. But I'm going to predict 3-2. Lukaku, Jesse Lingard, and Jesse Lingard again, because Jesse Lingard is Wembley's. I mean, Wembley is Jesse Lingard's playground. I was going to say something else. Yeah, and that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like and subscribe if you did. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, man. Doing these previews and reviews. God almighty. You can see bloody Mount Everest on my chin there. Anyway, thanks for watching. It's been your boy Day. So Man United Talk. Drop a like and subscribe. Follow me up there. Alright. Deuces. I just hit the mic again.